Guys, it's time. The wait is over. We have to talk about Bleach, the Thousand Year Blood War. The episode 1 has premiered this week. I am so excited. First episode, The Blood Warfare, came out. I have a lot to say. I have so much, too much to say. But I'm not alone in this room. So, Juwaan, I appreciate you joining us for the topic and joining us for Bleach. It's time to talk Bleach. Juwaan, what were your thoughts of this first episode?
Well, it just felt good to have Bleach back. I wasn't the biggest fan of how Bleach left the last time I had it. I felt as though it confused me worse than Inception. But I loved having it back. Seeing Ichigo back, seeing the crew back was so much fun. But man, was I not prepared for for shit to go down almost immediately. Like there was
Yes.
chaos everywhere.
Yes.
And it didn't even give me a chance to breathe. Like right when I thought, like, oh, okay, they're gonna calm down from the chaos. No, they just kept the chaos rolling all the way to the end of the episode. I am so excited to see what this season builds up, and kind of how everything shakes out because we still have a lot more characters we got to see. They showed a lot, but there's obviously a lot more to be shown also. But man, am I here for all the chaos that this first episode ensued.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't completed my watch of Bleach. I think I've watched till at least half of the anime, and I've read a bit of the manga. But I have watched so many videos, so I know the big battles, I know the changes, I know the big things that lead to this. I know enough about it. And I said, you know what? Bleach is coming back after a hiatus. I mean, the last episode of the anime came out, I think it was 2006,
Yep.
I think, of the original run.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was coming back and that everybody came back, like all the voice actors and everything, I had to check it out. But also the trailers were great. And I really enjoyed this episode because as someone that knows at least enough of Bleach like I do, it felt like it was so welcoming, not just to the people that know Bleach, but for the people that don't know anything about Bleach.
Yep.
Like it was the perfect mix of reintroducing the characters, but also reintroducing the world. And like, there's no way that you walk away from the first 5 minutes of this episode. There's no way that you walk away not having at least a very solid idea of what this show is about. Like it's actually pretty clear. And I love the fact that the animation feels nostalgic, but you can tell that it's been upgraded thanks to the new tech that we now have. Because Kurakura Town still feels like Kurakura Town.
Yep.
And I think that was the most important thing, right? Like when you think about things being updated in animation, you feel that it's not gonna feel like the place that you used to call home, but it felt like we just came back home. It was great. It was so good. Isaac, you were hyping everything Bleach related before it came
Of
back.
course.
It came
And
back. Thoughts on the first episode?
well, it felt like you know the feeling when you meet a close family member or friend that you haven't seen for ages, and you finally meet them again, kind of like that, and reunite
Yeah,
because you either on a vacation or you're moving close to each other again.
yeah,
Well, watching Bleach like that kind of was like that for me because I love the manga and I love this show. Just the first episode hit all the right spot for me, and it was just a perfect reintroduction for someone is that has long waited for the first episode, so to speak, and it just made me. How should I put it? It just how should I put it? It reaffirmed me, or should I say, it just confirmed to me. It just it made me just how should I put it? Okay, I am lost for words now. But I loved every second of it. And
Yeah.
why is Juwaan gone?
It it's all good. I know he'll pop in as soon as he can. Things
Yeah,
technical reasons happen. It's the emotion. The hype
yeah.
took him away. So I know you're not as into Bleach as us, Mike, but I know that you had the opportunity of watching the first episode. As someone that is distant from Bleach in comparison to us, what did you think about that first episode?
Yeah, so I want to backtrack a little bit because all summer long, Isaac has been trying to get us to make sure we were prepared for the return of Bleach. On a daily basis, I might add. So
Yes.
it was a long road getting here.
Yes.
I'm probably trying to make them getting ready for Bleach more than I would try to get them to watch, or should I say, have Mike watch Violet Evergarden, and that says some.
I mean,
Yeah.
the way Isaac was talking, I would have thought this was peak fiction, not One Piece. But
He's bringing it back.
I have
Leo.
I have to. But no, like, so I tried to get into Bleach. I tried watching the anime, couldn't get into it. I tried reading the manga, I just couldn't get into it. This is not a franchise in that form that I feel is for me.
Yeah.
But this was a really good episode. I will
So
say.
good. So good.
And like you said at the top of this conversation, Brandon, this is a very good reintroduction to the point where even though I have no idea what the heck is going on at this point in the franchise and in the story, I was still able to follow along fairly well. There's still clearly stuff that I don't really pick up or understand, but I feel like I'm caught up enough where I can still enjoy the show as is without really being caught up on all of the events that happened throughout Bleach.
Yep.
But yeah, like this episode was beautifully animated. I loved the characters; their interactions were great. So I feel like the writing was very strong in this episode, and it felt like I understand where I was coming from, right? Even though I have no attachment to this franchise, it felt like it was a big deal that it returned. Like even the way the main characters are reintroduced within this episode felt like it was an event. It's like when Naruto returned to Konoha at the beginning of Shippuden, right? It's like I don't have the connection, but I still felt the impact that they wanted me to, and I think that just speaks to how strong of a debut this was.
Yeah. And I'm glad you caught that, because what made that possible, I think, not just because of the animation, is because the studio, I think is it still studio, is it TV Tokyo still that's doing it, Isaac?
It's Studio Pierrot, the studio behind Naruto and.
Is that the same
Boruto.
studio that did the original anime?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so it's still so. One of the things that I love about Bleach specifically is because when it comes to the way the show is designed, one of the biggest thing that made Bleach special is that Bleach is all about style. Bleach is a very stylized show. It can be when it wants to, and those first animes, anime openings, to me, I still say that the first anime opening for Bleach, which is Asterisk by Orange Range, is one of the best opening themes of all time. And anybody can find me, but that's how I feel, because it carries so much style and identity. And this episode had that. The fact that the main characters all had title cards, because why the hell not? It added such a level of coolness and badassery.
But it also made it easy for me to remember who is who, since I'm not familiar with them, which is well done.
Yes, exactly. And it was so powerful. It was so great. And also, I love the idea. I haven't read the book, so I don't know if the chapter that opens up this arc was translated.
It was a perfect reintroduction. All that I can say.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know if the first chapter of this arc was this same animation that we saw, but I love the fact that we actually had those two Soul Reapers as stand-ins for the audience, and how they're introduced to Ichigo's crew, the same way that we're reintroduced to Ichigo's crew. and like all the major stuff is there. This is Orihime. This is what she's about. This is Sado. This is what he's about. This is Uryu. This is what he's about. And here's Ichigo. Yes. And of course, because he's the main character, he has the most badass opening. And yes, he just went Bankai in the first 5 minutes, because if you needed to know what Bankai is, this is what Bankai is. Like,
Bankai?
it was so deliberate and so great. And it was very inspiring. Now, I love, can we talk about the funniest moment in the episode, which of course was, I don't know who you are, but I don't know your name. Yeah, I don't care. Can you get off my bed? No, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Ichigo just kicks his ass.
That is why we love Ichigo.
That was so awesome.
He's not just a stereotypical Shonen Jump character, just like Deku is. He is. He, as much as I love One Piece and Dragon Ball in Naruto, he kind of sticks out as a protagonist.
Yep.
Which is just like I said in the Jump Festa. Is it called Jump Festa? The episode we did with Leo about the news,
yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, that was it. That was the name of the episode, Jump Festa. Yeah, I remember.
It was Jump Festa last year, 2020. Yeah.
Yep.
2021.
Yeah. Now, I
also
do want
the music is amazing as always.
I'm really happy that you brought that up, because that was the one thing that sealed the deal for me. I was back in Karakura Town. I liked what I was seeing, but it wasn't until that song number 1 came on, when the crew came up, which those that know Bleach know exactly what I'm talking about. Da 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 da. Like, that song is so iconic to Bleach. Like, it's like it was so great, because again, it felt like we never left. It felt like it hasn't been a hiatus. And that's how you know that they're doing the introduction right. Now, as a cinematic piece of anime, the directing and the editing on this episode is impressive. Did you catch that, Mike? Like,
oh yeah,
it was impressive. And did you catch the mirroring towards the end, where they're mirroring the fight where Ichigo versus, what is it? Ember? Is that the name of the guy? Or Ebner? Isaac? The guy that Ichigo's fighting? Or whatever. That Ichigo versus the guy from the Walden Reich.
yeah.
And then the Walden Reich officials against, or presenting the declaration of war against the captain of the 13 courts of the Soul Society. Those two separate stories are telling the same story, which is the fact that these guys can steal Bankais. And the fact that you can easily see those two threads going on together and mixing. That is so brilliant directing and editing. I have to applaud them. It was just great.
I think that's why I enjoyed this way better than the original Bleach, right? It's because, again, like we were saying in the anime for beginners conversation, a lot of old school anime pacing was just completely different than it is now. But like you can feel the direction, the art direction. But like you said, the cinematography and the way that they're presenting the story, the way that they're pacing out the story, it feels like a modern interpretation of Bleach, as opposed to just trying to emulate the original series, which it's still, like you guys were saying, at its core, it did make you feel nostalgic for Bleach. Like once the music kicked in, I'm like, oh crap, I'm feeling nostalgia for a thing that I don't have nostalgia for. This is a very strange feeling, honestly. But I'm glad you mentioned the parallels there, because that is a great way to visualize what the storytelling and kind of present it in that way. And I don't know, man, like it's just a really great first episode. Again, I don't have the connection that you guys do to Bleach, but just sitting here from afar, I understand what you guys are feeling, the emotions that they wanted to hit. And as somebody who isn't that familiar with this world, I think they did a banger job presenting it in a digestible way. That's what, and you even mentioned, we were talking earlier. You mentioned that it was categorized as Bleach: The Thousand Year Blood War, as opposed to just being like what season 6 of Bleach or whatever,
or 7. Yeah.
or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's very intentional, right? Because while it is another season of Bleach, I think they also want to present it as something new, something separate from the original series, and it just makes it easier and more accessible to a new audience to discover Bleach for the first time. And they may want to go back to the original series later on.
Yeah, I love the word you use there. It's very everything's very deliberate, which you can't deny that the best shows are the ones that have clear intentions and that you can feel the brushstrokes, right? As opposed to watching a show that you're like, okay, what are they trying to do? I have no idea. Like there's everything appears planned out and it feels thought out, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. Now, Isaac, two things story-wise that I need to discuss with you, which I found very interesting and pretty great. I love that we finally are getting some type of answer and follow through on one of the topics that has been hinted at since season 1 of Bleach, which is the idea that Shinigamis and Quincy's don't get along. Right?
That's an understatement.
But the reason I'm mentioning this is because for the longest time, they've never dived deep into this. Like this is not something that they've gone into record stating before this. We know that, of course, Uryu's dad knew Ichigo's dad, and we know all those things, but like we're finally dealing with that, which I think is one of those things that was always left in the background, because again, Ichigo and Uryu are always fighting because they're both hot-headed, but also because they symbolize those two sides of what a human can be, right? Either a substitute soul reaper or a Quincy. But were you when you read this, because I know you've read it, when you read this, did it surprise you that this would be the final arc? That it would be dealing with this particular topic, or
not necessarily, because they haven't made a big deal about the rivalry between these two nations or people or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it makes sense to have their. You need to have the rivalry. You needed to have the rivalry being addressed in some fashion more than just. Being mentioned. How should I put it? It would be like you get to know that Reiner, Bernholt, and what's the third female Titan's name?
Annie.
Spoiler for Attack on Titan. For those who are listening,
but the double agents.
Yes.
Yes. It's sort of like.
And he just keeps spoiling. He just.
It's like we're just gonna spoil Shigeki no Kyojin in a Bleach episode.
Yeah.
I'm biting my hand as we speak. But yeah, Isaac, I
the thing I was gonna trying to say is it's sort of like not addressing the rivalry between these nations. It would be like, okay, they are double agents from some faraway country. Where the hell is that? Why are they here? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
So when I read that in the manga, it was just, oh shit, and yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, I just find it fascinating that the last arc that Tite Kubo, which is the mangaka for Bleach, the one arc that he used to close the show, to close the book, was something that he teased from the beginning. Which again, whether he planned it that way or not, I will never know. But still,
he probably
well
planned
done.
it.
Well done, sir. Well done. Now, I do find fascinating the fact that they're stealing bankais. I want to see what that looks like.
No
Whether that,
comment.
by the way, damn it, Isaac. By the way, was I the only one freaked out with the weird face that Ebner put when he was about to try and steal Ichigo's bankai? Like he looked like a monster. Like he was about to get a bite out of him. It's crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot of crazy moments in this episode that kind of just let me like, so this is what Bleach turned into after I quit reading it, huh?
It became cannibalistic spiritual warfare.
Every anime has humble beginnings. I just did not expect cannibal.
But yeah, guys, I'm very excited for what comes next. Now, I am going to say a bunch of great things, but I am very surprised that the great things of this episode and of this season moving forward, or at least this first core, because I believe it's 4 12-episode cores, correct?
Yeah, that's about right.
That's right. So is how the style is still present there. And ladies and gentlemen, but that ending sequence where we're able to literally have a recap of the entire history of the Bleach anime. Again, intentional, and 2, brilliant. So freaking brilliant. The style is just oozing out of the screen, and I am loving every minute of it. Isaac and I don't know if you've played it, Mike, but Isaac and I love Persona 5. And we love Persona 5 not just because it's an amazing anime game or whatever, but it's also because the style and identity of that game is so amazing. And I'm really glad that the Bleach style and feel is here to stay. And what do you think? Like, that B-roll of all the old ones, that was actually pretty awesome, right?
It was definitely pretty awesome. I'm just kind of sitting here amazed, right? Like we have all these new age animes, right? We have MHA, we have Demon Slayer. But I think it's crazy that Dragon Ball, One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto are still alive and kicking in some form or fashion around here, which is just like the OGs have come back and it feels like they're here to stay for a long time.
Yep.
It's pretty great.
No, and it also kind of like accentuates how great they really are, and how amazing they've really been. So, guys, Isaac, before we close our conversation, episode 1 of Bleach, any thoughts, any ideas? I mean, there was some story, but I think we can all agree that the big thing about the episode was the fact that Bleach said, "It's Bleach."
Yeah.
Yes, that's literally
Bleach
what
is
happened.
back, baby.
Yep. Anything else on this episode, Isaac?
What can I say more than I love it? And
Awesome.
I'm so hyped.
Yes.
We don't get that reaction from Isaac very often, guys, so this is a big deal. For him to
Big
say, "I
deal.
love it," it's impressive.
Yes. You did something right, Bleach. You did something right. So, guys, that was our coverage, our review, and our thoughts on the first episode of Bleach, The 1,000-Year Blood War. As you guys know, we cover anime every single Sunday at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. We cover a topic and we cover 2 animes. We will be covering Bleach and Chainsaw Man every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we'll be covering 2 episodes of Bleach and 2 episodes of Chainsaw Man. And every 2 weeks, we're going to be covering My Hero Academia and Spy Family. So next Sunday, we'll be covering My Hero Academia and Spy Family. If you guys are waiting for our thoughts on Bleach, don't worry. We'll let you know on Twitter when the next coverage of Bleach is coming. But we're glad that you were able to hang out with us as we talk about Bleach, The 1,000-Year Blood War. Before we go on break, after our coverage of Bleach, now we're going to go to talk about Chainsaw Man. If you have not taken the time to watch the premiere of Tatsuki Fujimoto's amazing award-winning anime, I don't know what the hell you're doing with your life, unless you really don't like gory stuff, so I forgive you. But if you're okay with gory stuff, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So this is the moment where you can sign off and go away. because I know that you haven't seen Chainsaw Man, so we'll forgive you. And whenever you have seen Chainsaw Man, you can come back and listen to our thoughts on Chainsaw Man. But guys, thank you for joining us for the topic. Thank you for joining us for Bleach. And we look forward to seeing you very soon next time. Make sure before you leave, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the like button, and click on the bell for notifications so you enjoy and do not miss any single episode drop that we share. If you want to listen to us on the go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. You can find the Amateur Otaku Podcast. You can find Mike at
Novice Cinephile everywhere.
You can find Isaac at
Tveta.
and you
Em-
well
Emblemaniac.
Emblemaniac
On Twitter. Jeez.
and you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter. We'll see you in a bit, guys.